Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman. Now I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. As we wrap up our catch up Tuesday, and not like the condiment ketchup, but like catch up. I've been behind on some movie reviews after a really busy week, and the last one to get into today is one I really dug. It brought me back to a world I was very familiar with as a kid, and even a young adult. I really kind of was into the wrestling all the way through college, and then in the last 5-10 years I've kind of dropped off a bit, and I'll peek in here and there. So it was fun to go see a movie that I was familiar with but didn't know the story. So why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in spoiler free on Fighting with My Family. Which, as I said, tells a story that I wasn't so familiar with. And it was the thing I was most intrigued about with this movie, is that with all the rich stories the WWE has, why the Paige story? And I think it's because it just so amplifies and exudes what it is about wrestling that the fans love. It is a large community, but it is a very tight-knit community. And if you're not inside the wrestling community, some people can understand it and just don't watch it, but others are like, I don't get it. It's all fake. Like, why do you like it so much? And the movie does such a great job of anyone that's like that, not familiar with this world, gives it to you in a way where it's like, this is why this world is so beloved. And capturing that essence of the story, I thought was so important and really elevated this one for me. Now, I went and brought my buddy Danny, who's a humongous wrestling fan, and after I kind of fell off, he has stayed fully immersed, and I wanted to get his take on it, and he also really enjoyed the movie. But did say there were some nitpicky things that I think diehard wrestling fans will pick up on, like how they use the new logos for both the WWE and Raw, rather than the logos they should have been using that were used back then. Things like that. He said some of the chronology is off. So diehard wrestling fans, couple things to point out. But the movie does such a good job everywhere else that, you can get past it pretty easily. And I was glad to have that there because I would have never picked up on it. And what I did pick up on, though, was a really good movie. Paige comes from a wrestling family in the UK, and it's kind of the story of her and her brother's journey. Being, inside of this wrestling family, the two of them always wanted to make it to the WWE. And as we've seen in the trailers, only Paige goes. And that creates a really interesting dynamic between the two of them. Florence Pugh, who plays Soraya Knight, who is Paige, and Jack Loudon, who plays Zach Knight, her brother. Such good chemistry on screen. You really feel that brother-sister connection. Like if you have a sibling, or if you're a brother and you have a sister, or a sister have a brother, you can really feel the way their relationship feels so genuine. And then to watch the way that the story kind of goes and how Zach has to deal with Soraya making it there and him not, and having to be back home. I just loved all of that, and I thought Jack Loudon just gave a really genuinely solid performance, as did Florence Pugh. And Florence Pugh is phenomenal this whole movie. I really thought that she captured the character so well, and just made you fall in love with Paige really quickly. And the journey, it's not easy, and I think that's the other thing that this movie really gets into and nails on the head, that like to get there, it is not easy. And yes, it might be scripted, but it's not fake. And it is hard work. And these people put their lives and their bodies on the line once, twice, 3 times a week. And getting to see all that, and getting to see how you go from, how you don't just walk into like an NXT, right, which is the developmental league. You have to kind of have come from something where you've learned how to wrestle. Then when you get there, how hard it is to get to the WWE, and to watch Paige's journey. It's so heartfelt and so easy to connect to. And I think a lot of that is because Florence Pugh just has this sense about her that just you absolutely fall in love with her character and what she's doing on screen. I really loved her performance, and I loved her family. Nick Frost, who I'm a humongous fan of, just so good as her dad, who kind of runs this wrestling league they've created in the UK. Ricky Knight, And Lena Headey, good old Cersei, showing up to play Julia Knight. I love their relationship, and I love the way that kind of works within that family. And the family stuff at the beginning of the movie before she leaves, it's so good. And all four of these, actors just elevate it so much, with Nick Frost's humor and Lena Headey able to balance the humor and the seriousness really well, and kind of, be that second for Nick Frost to give him to deliver. He delivers an amazing emotional bit right toward the like 3/4 mark of the movie. I loved it, and the family dynamic was so good that once Soraya leaves to go be Paige and try to make it to the WWE, going back there, you're also really invested in the story that's going there with her brother, and the whole family dynamic just works so well. And the dynamic of Paige when she is immersed in this training and trying to get there with Coach Vince Vaughn, was very interested to see how he would do here. Vince Vaughn, it seemed like it would be a straightforward kind of role, and it was, and it allowed his humor and heart to really work well within the character. I loved Vince Vaughn in this movie, man. He has a moment where he kind of is talking to Soraya and is like, "Look, this is what you are looking at, and you either have to be all in or just spare yourself now and go back home." Because she's it kills her that her brother isn't there, and she fights for him a lot. And the way that Vince Vaughn is able to kind of handle her and get her to the place where she's the one that makes it all the way. I just really enjoyed his character and his relationship with Florence Pugh, and I loved him as the coach, like pushing all of these wrestlers, and that's where his humor can come in, man, because some of the comments and things that he makes, they got to do mics where you get on the mic and you have to win the crowd over, and some of his comebacks are fantastic, which elevates Florence Pugh's delivery toward the end of the movie when she finally figures out what it is that she should be. And just all of that worked really well, as did the other wrestlers. There's 3 women in the movie where, like, you get this sense where people, talk to Soraya, where she's like, you're there to wrestle. And so many of these women are just, cheerleaders or models, and the 3 of them are all like cheerleaders or models, but all really serious about it. And, there's that, kind of bias against them, and the same the other way. Or at least that's the way it feels, and it kind of separates Paige from that group. That when to get all the way there, she kind of has to win that group over and become part of the group. And then that story, all of a sudden when that happens, you're just like, oh man, and now I'm rooting for all of them. And it allows her, when she finally gets there, to have like a group with her at the event, to kind of be just as excited for her. So I love that element of the movie. I love the wrestlers that dropped in. We get to see the Big Show. We get to see Sheamus. And I like their bit with Paige in the movie. And then, of course, we get to see The Rock. And trailer certainly makes it feel like The Rock is going to be in this movie a lot. And I can tell you this. The Rock is in the movie for exactly what you've seen in the trailers. He doesn't have too much that we haven't already seen, but he works as a wonderful bookend to the movie in the sense of what Paige's journey is, and being there at the beginning and being there at the end. I just thought that worked, and I love Dwayne Johnson, and getting to see him just be himself on screen. I'm a diehard Rock fan. It worked so well. The only other group to kind of touch on real quick, as I said, Zach's story kind of involves, in the UK is very interesting because his girlfriend is pregnant, and her family is the total opposite of his family. They're much more proper, kind of posh, if you will. And when they come over for dinner at one point in the movie, we get to meet all of them. And Stephen Merchant, who is directing here, I thought he did a wonderful job. This movie is paced well, and the way the story is told, I just thought it worked so well. And you could tell that Merchant had a handle on what he was doing. But he also worked really well in the comedy bits with that family. So funny because of just the drastic difference. They have this scene at the dinner table that's just priceless, and his facial expressions, along with his wife and the daughter, just really funny. And like I said, I thought he did a really solid job directing, because I walked out of there really loving fighting with your family. So there you go, man. Those are all my non-spoiler thoughts on Fighting with My Family. It's a really solid film, and I think a really great way to tell everybody, introduce the entire world to what it is about the wrestling culture that you can just so gravitate towards and love, and told through a wonderful story of Paige. I absolutely love the character, and I thought Florence Pugh crushed it. So now it's your turn. I want to know what you're thinking. Have you seen Fighting with My Family? If you have, hit those comments down below and let me know what you thought. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you a wrestling fan? Are you not a wrestling fan? If you're not a wrestling fan, did this movie kind of really make sense and give you a sense of what it is about this community that makes it so impassioned? Let me know all that down below. If you haven't seen the movie, are you intrigued? Has the Seaman enticed you? I hope I have. Like I said, this one's a good one, and I think you would just thoroughly enjoy it if you haven't seen it, so go check it out. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you're new here, hop on over, hit that subscribe button, and then the little bell so you can get alerts every time I make a new video. For the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down, I'm the Seaman, and I'm signing off. Peace. Well, you guys are still here. You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry, Seaman's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy, and if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the Seaman goodies, join the Cinema Sit Down squad, man. Hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.